Bob Heussler and Wayne Norman. University of Connecticut basketball is brought to you by Friendly Restaurants, great food and ice cream. By SNET, we go beyond the call. By Savage Jewelers on the Green in downtown New Haven. By Waldbaum's Food Mart, you'll like their attitude. Picky, picky, picky. By the Connecticut State Police Union and by your local sponsors.
Petrol Pantry, McCallum Auto Parts, Burritt Interfinancial Bancorp, Connecticut Travel, and Getty Gasoline.
Now we go live to Game Site and join Wayne Norman for today's Friendly's Husky pregame show.
For the last time, we can say UConn basketball at the Fieldhouse. Tonight, the Huskies take on the Blue Devils of Central Connecticut State University. After 36 years, they're closing the doors to varsity basketball at the Fieldhouse in Storrs, Connecticut. Hi again, everyone. Wayne Norman along with Bob Heussler and our producer, John Turner-Gill, coming to you from the Fieldhouse this evening as Central Connecticut, coming in with a 3-12 mark, takes on the red-hot Huskies of UConn at 15-3 and getting ranked in the national polls. In our pregame show tonight, we'll be hearing from head coach Mike Brown of Central Connecticut. We'll get the Central scouting report from UConn, Scott Whistle, the UConn assistant coach, and also hear some comments from UConn head coach Jim Calhoun. It's all coming up on the Husky pregame show, as well as some of the ceremonies honoring that team that first played here in the Fieldhouse in 1954 and 55. Right now, let's pause for these messages.
Hey, sports fans, there's only one thing that's more fun than sitting around with the whole family and listening to a game on the radio, and that's bringing the gang to Friendly's after the game. Win, lose, or tie, Friendly's is a sure bet for post-game excitement. Whether you're up for a hot meal, or a cool sundae, or just a snack, Friendly's scores big. Why not try a big beef burger or specialty and delicious friendly fries? Or a scrumptious hot fudge sundae, a delicious sandwich. The choices go on and on and on, as long as your appetite does. So when the game's over, bring the whole team out to celebrate with some great food and ice cream. At Friendly's, we're sports fans' biggest fans. Friendly's, great food and ice cream.
The governor and the General Assembly will be faced with complex budgetary problems when the legislative session resumes in February. While there is often disagreement on what state programs should be funded and at what level, historically there has been a consensus that public safety is of primary concern to Connecticut residents. In spite of a tremendous increase in autos and more enforcement duties or responsibilities, including the new drunk driving law, the state trooper levels have remained unchanged or have decreased. The State Police Union believes that our short-term budget problem should not be solved by reducing the number of state police through personnel cuts, attrition, or police academy reductions. Troopers respond to auto accidents, major crimes, and other emergencies, as well as provide basic police protection in rural areas. Major cuts in trooper levels will have a quick and serious impact on our ability to provide the services residents have come to expect from the members of the Connecticut State Police Union.
I got the highlight, the last 5 seconds, plus Calhoun with a quick comment, and then we'll put that game to bed. Fieldhouse and Storrs should be a hot place tonight. Certainly the game itself doesn't seem to be one that's going to be a nail-biter. UConn a heavy favorite here tonight, but a lot of tradition in the 36 years of the Fieldhouse as the Huskies get set to take on the Blue Devils in the final game at the Fieldhouse. Let's pause 10 seconds for stage identification. You're listening to UConn Husky basketball on the Connecticut Radio Network. Bob Heussler at the Fieldhouse, and in case you can't tell, the Huskies just took the court, and I suspect they're going to get a lot of loud ovations tonight, not just because of the way they've been playing, but also because of the tradition going into this last game here at the Fieldhouse.
And also, this is the first time that the students are back on campus, Wayne, since the Huskies went on that 5-game winning streak, a winning streak in the Big East. That was capped off with that improbable but amazing victory last Saturday night at the Hartford Civic Center, with UConn, of course, upsetting Georgetown in that game by a final score of 70-65. And after that game was over, Wayne, we said that some national publicity was certainly going to be headed toward UConn's way, and it has been just that, and probably a lot more, I think, than was expected.
Well, the Huskies right around number 20 in all three of the wire service polls, USA Today, AP, and UPI. The highest ranking, by the way, is 19 in UPI. And I thought the USA Today power rating's interesting today, too. Not just was UConn ranked number 21, but they were ahead of Syracuse and ahead of St. John's. Only Georgetown in the Big East was ranked higher than UConn, even though Georgetown was beaten by UConn. And Coach Jim Calhoun talked about the keys to that game.
The three keys to the game may have been, A, we were able to press them and play like we have played as opposed to changing what we did. By that I mean simply, the worst thing for us would have come out here tonight and play something different than what we played, because we have 12 games remaining after this, and we can't. I mean, we think we can press pretty well and we can run pretty well, and for us to change that drastically. We made some adjustments for Georgetown, but we didn't want to change. Secondly, I think the point you allude to, I think, is really 100% on the money. I think it really came down to answering challenges, and that really is what you have to do. And a great basketball team like Georgetown is going to present some challenges, come back at you, and we just were able to answer those. And obviously the kids come up big and turn us the problem.
Well, he said three keys. I only heard two there, but as he was answering that question, he got the stat sheet passed in front of him, so that's one reason he might have been distracted somewhat. But, of course, pretty loud place on Saturday night, Hartford Civic Center, particularly in those final seconds.
So the priest again looking to put it away, puts it up, and he misses again. Rebounded Jefferson, and he has it knocked out of his hands by Smith. Smith has the ball back to George, to Hennefeld with 4 seconds to go. Here's Sellers to Smith, and that'll do it! The Huskies have knocked the Georgetown Hoyas from the rank of the unbeaten and have just pulled off one of the biggest upsets in UConn history, and a wild celebration is underway on the Hartford Civic Center floor.
And because of that game, the Dove Hennefeld of UConn gets a rather rare award. A freshman, actually academically a sophomore, but as far as his eligibility is concerned, he is a sophomore, but he's a freshman on the court. He winds up getting the Big East Player of the Week award, the first time a rookie has ever gotten that award, and he's been quite the BMOC this week, now that school's back in session, Bob.
In fact, Jim Calhoun, I understand, sat down with the Dove earlier this week and had a half an hour chat with the Dove, simply just to keep things in perspective. The Dove, by all we know, you've dealt with him, and I've talked with him on occasion, seems like a guy who certainly is mature beyond his 21 years. He certainly seems like the kind of guy who will have no trouble keeping it in perspective. But again, what he's been through this week, there are not too many college athletes that go through the kind of publicity that the Dove Hennefeld has had to bear this last few days.
Coming up later on our pregame show, we'll be hearing the 1954-1955 team introduced, as well as some of the former UConn coaches who are here. And we'll also talk more about the game that's going to be played tonight between UConn and Central Connecticut. But right now, let's pause for this 2-minute timeout from our local stations on the Connecticut Radio Network.
If you think convenience stores are all the same, you haven't been to a Petro Pantry. Petro Pantry is more than milk, bread, and convenience items. The first thing you'll discover as you pull into a Petro Pantry is the low gas prices. But at Petro Pantry, low gas prices are only the beginning. There's the full deli department, featuring quality Boar's Head brand meat products. And during the month of January, Petro Pantry features party platters starting at $19.99. But you'll always find great specials at Petro Pantry, like Boar's Head bologna, only $2.29 a pound. A half-gallon of orange juice, just $1.49, and a six-pack of Coke, only $2.19. Stop in at Petro Pantry on a Wednesday and get your Petro Pantry coffee mug filled free with delicious 100% Colombian U-Band coffee. Come discover the Petro Pantry difference. You'll find Petro Pantry located on Wethersfield Avenue in Hartford, Pine Street in Bristol, and the newest Petro Pantry on Farmington Avenue in Bristol, where an 8-gallon gas purchase gets you a $1.50 car wash. Petro Pantry, not your ordinary convenience store.
Where would you rather be this winter? Here in New England fighting the cold, or in beautiful sunny Cancun, Mexico? Well, now it's easier than ever to get to Cancun on a direct non-stop charter from Bradley Airport, departing every Saturday afternoon thanks to Connecticut Travel Services, McKenna Travel, and Travelrama. your exclusive U.S. Travel Systems agents. Reserve now to stay 7 nights in Cancun from only $299 per person. That's right, only $299 per person for a week in Cancun, including direct non-stop flights from Bradley Airport, hotel transfers, and much more. Reserve your Cancun vacation at the nearest U.S. Travel Systems office. USTS Connecticut Travel Services, USTS McKenna Travel, and USTS Travelrama. Check the yellow pages for one of the 22 locations nearest you and book your 7-night vacation to Cancun starting at just $299 per person, including airfare and hotel. U.S. Travel Systems, Connecticut Travel Services, McKenna Travel, and Travelrama. Locally responsible, nationally strong.
Go right to tape here?
No, this is what we're going to come back and talk about Central. Norman along with Bob Heussler at the Fieldhouse and Stores. UConn coming in with a 15-3 record, and Central Connecticut at 3-12. And you'd have to think, Bob, that Central would have to play a near perfect game to defeat UConn tonight.
You know, I almost feel a little bit sorry for Central Connecticut tonight because they are having such a rough year. They are 3-12 on the season. They have already lost Scott Wheaton, who is pretty much considered their top player, their leading returning scorer from last year. He managed to play 5 games this year, and then he went down with a foot injury. They've lost other players because of eligibility situations and also because of transfers. And what it comes down to is Mike Brown is fielding, the Central Connecticut head coach, is fielding an extremely young club. And considering that they're in the Fieldhouse tonight, on the last evening, the last day that they'll ever play basketball at this old facility, they're kind of getting lost in the backwash here, and people are just looking past this game as far as Central Connecticut is concerned, and certainly they deserve a little bit more credit than that, but you are exactly right. They'd have to play even better than a perfect game to have any kind of chance tonight against UConn, I believe.
Their 3 wins this year. They defeated Post College 83-55. They beat Mercy 87-50. And just last week they won at Liberty to break a long road losing streak, 73-70. But they've also lost to a Division III school, North Adams State, 52-49 at home. And they've lost to some Division I lightweights like Harvard, Fairfield by lopsided scores. Fairfield beat Central Connecticut 56-37, and Harvard defeated Central Connecticut 91-61. So you can see Central has their problems, and the fact that they're starting 3 freshmen is more of a move to the future than is the status of instability in the current Central program. We'll be hearing shortly from Mike Brown, who'll talk more about that he's building for the future with this very young Central Connecticut team. We'll come back and hear the scouting report from UConn on Central Connecticut after we pause for these messages.
Nothing's too good for my baby, so nothing but ultra for my little lady.
This car's my baby, so she only gets the highest octane under the sun, Sunoco Ultra 94. And Ultra's new higher detergency beats even BMW standards. So baby runs lean and clean. Sunoco Ultra 94. Nothing else can match it.
Nothing but ultra for my little lady, 'cause nothing's too good for my baby.
Everyone is invited on Friday, January 26th to the open house and university dedication of the brand new Harry A. Gamble Pavilion on the University of Connecticut campus and stores. This is your chance to see the beautiful $28 million sports complex before the first game is played. The doors will be open from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Experience the awesome domed arena, the high-tech scoreboards, electronic message centers and sound system, and the Olympic-sized swimming center. Don't miss it. The open house and university dedication of the new Gamble Pavilion on the UConn campus and stores. Call 203-486-3531 for more information.
Next. Hey, Mrs. Whitaker, what can I do for you?
Well, if you know a good divorce lawyer, I'll take his number. Otherwise, I need some ideas on how to feed a horde of hungry football fans. My darling hubby invited Tom, Dick, and Harry and their brothers over for the Super Bowl.
Well, I can't help you with the lawyer, but the food's no problem. Let's see. We'll start you off with some Hummel Brothers cocktail hot dogs. They're quick to fix and easy to serve.
I like it. I'm going to need to feed them some sandwiches, too, don't you think?
Definitely. A Hummel's cold-cut platter is just the thing.
Sounds great.
All right, with some Hummel veal loaf, a little olive loaf, some Hummel bologna.
Bob loves that. Any ideas for me and the kids?
Hot dogs. Hummel hot dogs. Toss a salad, throw in some beans, you're all set. Do you want skin or skinless?
Skins, please. Thanks. You saved a marriage.
Anything else?
Well, do you know a cleaning woman for the postgame?
Hummel Brothers hot dogs and cold cuts, good tasting and good for you, all natural with no sugar and no MSG. Ask for them at the deli counter or meat section. They'll make the party super, even if the Super Bowl is
Connecticut for UConn. It's Scott Whistle, the grad assistant coach. Is this going to be an easy game for the Huskies tonight?
Well, I don't think it'll be that easy. Some people might expect that, but Central Connecticut is actually a very young team, and they've got some talent, and they also work very hard. They change defenses very well, and they use some pressure, a little bit of 1-2-1-1 full court pressure and a 1-2-2 half court trap that they use pretty effectively. They used it against Rider College the other night, and it was effective.
Speaking of pressure, will they be able to handle UConn's pressure?
That's going to be a difficult point for them because their guards are both freshmen and very good potential. They have good potential, but they have had trouble handling pressure in the last few games, and they have both of them almost close to 50 turnovers each so far this year.
What do you know about Rod Seller's brother who plays for Central?
Oh, he's a workhorse inside. He got 16 rebounds against Rider College, and he's just very hard worker, good passer inside, and a very good role player overall.
Central Connecticut's going to make a game of this. Who are the guys that have to do it for them, especially offensively?
Offensively, Kevin Swan has to lead his team. He's been leading them in scoring. He's a freshman point guard, averaging about 13 a game. And also, I think Al Williams, 6'7" forward, who's averaging, close to 8 points a game. But he's a good shooter from 15 feet and in, and he's got good shot selection. And
we are back at the Fieldhouse where we are preparing to say so long to this old facility. First year they ever played here was 1954-55, and as we have pointed out several times during the pregame show, the first team to ever play here at the Fieldhouse is being honored tonight. And we'll talk with some of the members of that team and also bring in those ceremonies. And, of course, coming up tonight, the last opponent that UConn will face ever in the Fieldhouse will be Central Connecticut. And we'll have more of the pregame show after we pause for these messages.
Hey, sports fans, there's only one thing that's more fun than sitting around with the whole family and listening to a game on the radio. And that's bringing the gang to Friendly's after the game. Win, lose, or tie, Friendly's is a sure bet for post-game excitement. Whether you're up for a hot meal, or a cool sundae, or just a snack, Friendly's scores big. Why not try a big beef burger or specialty and delicious friendly fries? Or a scrumptious hot fudge sundae, a delicious sandwich. The choices go on and on and on, as long as your appetite does. So when the game's over, bring the whole team out to celebrate with some great food and ice cream. At Friendly's, we're sports fans' biggest fans. Friendly's, great food and ice cream.
Look, you know about Walbaum's reputation for being picky about quality and service, but I'm going to prove to you that they're picky about low prices, too. I'll tell you how. You just come into any Walbaum's Food Mart store, you'll find you don't need coupons for advertised specials. There are no restrictions or requirements, and they're not going to limit you to one to a customer. That's not enough. They still double every manufacturer's coupon, and the result is you spend less money. Look, you'll like their attitude. It's like yours. Picky, picky, picky. Look, let's separate fact from fiction. The fiction is that some people think Walbaum's Food Mart has high prices. The fact is they do not. Sure, they're picky about quality and service. That doesn't mean you pay more, you pay less. You pay a lot less because they have low prices on every item every day. They double the value of every manufacturer's coupon. You don't need coupons for their specials, and they won't limit you one to a customer, ever. Look, you'll like their attitude. It's like yours. Picky, picky, picky.
Fieldhouse, and it's UConn against Central Connecticut, and Central Connecticut's coach is Mike Brown. Mike, I'd imagine it's a tough enough place to play in a regular night, much less a night as big as this.
Yeah, I've been in here a few times before in the past, and it's always been a tough place to play, and tonight with all the nostalgia going on, and it'll be even tougher. But, if you're an athlete, if you're a coach, you want opportunities like this. Sold out Fieldhouse, an opportunity to play against a nationally ranked team. These are nights that kids dream about, and when they're out practicing on the playgrounds, they dream about making big shots and their favorite move against, an All-American player, what have you. So it's going to be fun, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, even though your team is a decided underdog, I'll bet this is one they've looked forward to.
Well, like I said, UConn's, they're the big cheese in this area here, and we're just about 30 miles down the road, so we hear a lot about them. I'm sure they hear a little bit about us also. And believe me, when I recruited the kids that are playing for me at Central, I make it known to them, hey, you're going to get an opportunity to play against University of Connecticut, a fine Big East program. So yeah, well, I'm sure we're all looking forward to it.
A few words on your game plan tonight.
Well, we got to control the tempo. We can't let this turn into an up and down dunking show, and we've got to execute our stuff, get our shots off, and try and play as good a defense as we can on their inside people.
One stat that I'm sure will be important will be turnovers. Can you handle UConn's pressure?
We're going to try. I think we can. Kevin Swan and Damian Johnson are two freshman guards for us, and they've started and played 14 games now, so it's almost like they're not freshmen anymore. It'll be interesting to see how they handle Chris Smith and Tate George.
What about the battle tonight between the two Sellers brothers?
Well, I think that's more something you media people get involved in than myself or Jim Calhoun or even the two brothers. This is another game. I'm sure once the ball goes up, they won't even recognize that, that their brother is out there. It's just another team and another very competitive game.
A few words about the status of Central basketball. Obviously, three freshmen. Is this a building for the future kind of move?
Oh, without question. I came in and took over this program a year and a half ago, and my background is the Seton Hall program, and when I went there with PJ 6 years ago, we decided, hey, we're going to do it year by year. One strong freshman class upon one strong freshman class. And I'm using the same blueprint at Central Connecticut. And it's going to take some time. We've got an excellent freshman class. We need to get another one, and another one, and another one. And then maybe we can come in here someday and scare the Huskies.
Nice man, Mike Brown, who seems to have an upbeat attitude, even though there are only 3 wins and 12 losses this year for Central Connecticut basketball.
Mike Brown, of course, as he mentioned during the interview, came from Seton Hall, where he was an assistant coach there from 1981 through 1988. Also an assistant at Mississippi State, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and he started his coaching career at his alma mater, the University of Vermont.
Well, coming up shortly, they'll be honoring the 1954-55 team. They're all here tonight, the ones who played in the Fieldhouse first. Stand by for UConn Husky basketball. This is the Connecticut Radio Network.
Hello, this is Scott Zahner. Now that the holidays are behind us, January is bargain month. Everyone is either selling or looking for bargains. Every day you see or hear someone proclaiming the best buys of the season, or you'll never see prices this low again. Usually you get just what you pay for. Merchandise thrown on tables and crammed on racks. Self-service chaos. At Zahner's Clothiers, January is good old-fashioned value time. Yes, you'll find wonderful fashions at incredible prices, like men's suits for only $149 to $449, and women's suits for as little as $165 to $298. But you'll also find the same personal, attentive service that is Zahner's standard 365 days a year. Don't miss Zahner's great January sales and service. Zahner's Clothiers, Route 30 Vernon, exit 65 off I-84, just 15 minutes from Hartford.
By Sabbath Jewelers on the Green in downtown New Haven. By Waldbaum's Food Mart. You'll like their attitude. Picky, picky, picky. By the Connecticut State Police Union and by your local sponsors.
Petrol Pantry, McCallum Auto Parts, Burritt Interfinancial Bancorp, Connecticut Travel, and Getty Gasoline.
Now for the call of the play-by-play, here's Bob Heussler.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to University of Connecticut basketball on the Connecticut Radio Network. Tonight, for the final time, we speak to you live from the Storrs Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Connecticut as the Central Connecticut Blue Devils visit the UConn Huskies. And hi again, everybody. Bob Heussler, Wayne Norman, and Turner Gill speaking to you from a facility which they say its time has come. They say it's time to leave the Fieldhouse, and tonight the Huskies will do just that. They'll play their final
varsity basketball game ever here tonight against Central. And then on Saturday night, they'll open up a new era in UConn athletic history when they open the Gampel Pavilion this Saturday night versus St. John's. But first things first, and that is Central Connecticut and UConn this evening. And the Huskies, of course, in the news recently. They are now a member of the top 20 in college basketball, at least according to the Associated Press. They are 20th ranked in the nation. The United Press poll has the Huskies at 19th, and the CNN USA Today poll has UConn checking in at number 21. And the Huskies causing all kinds of excitement following their 5-point victory last Saturday night at the Civic Center over Georgetown to improve their record to 15-3 overall, and they are now in third place of the Big East Conference with a league record of 5-2. Tough year for the Central Connecticut Blue Devils. They are 3-12 overall, and they are sporting a very young team, a team which has 3 freshmen in the starting lineup. Right now, we're going to take a look at the starting lineup for both teams, starting with the Blue Devils of Central, who are coached by Mike Brown in his second year as head coach at the New Britain School. His starting lineup looks like this. At the guards, it'll be Kevin Swan, a 6'1", 145-pound freshman out of Hampton, Virginia. Swan is the team's leading scorer, averaging just under 13 points a game. The other guard is Damian Johnson, 6'2", 165-pound freshman out of Queens, New York. So you have an all-freshman backcourt for the Blue Devils. At 1-4, it'll be Al Williams, 6'7", 175-pound sophomore out of Overland, Missouri. He had 18 points last time the Central played, which was a loss a couple of nights ago at New Britain. Central losing to Ryder 78-66. The other forward is Patrick Sellers, 6'6", 190-pound junior out of Florence, South Carolina. And yes, Patrick is related to Rod Sellers of UConn. In fact, Patrick and Rod are brothers, and so they'll be going head-to-head this evening. And the starting center for Central Connecticut will be Ahmad Ricketts. He's a 6'7", 200-pound freshman out of Jersey City, New Jersey. For the UConn Huskies, in the backcourt, it'll be Chris Smith, 6'2", 170-pound sophomore out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Smith, UConn's leading scorer, averaging 15 points per game. Tate George, the other guard, 6'5", 195-pound senior out of Newark. The forwards, the Dove Hennefeld, 6'7", 220-pound freshman out of Ramat Hasharon, Israel. NFL's first ever freshman to be named Big East Player of the Week in the league. Lyman DePriest will be the other starting forward tonight. 6'5", 212-pound junior out of Highland Park, Michigan, gets his first start of the season. Mary Williams not with the team tonight because of the death of his father. And the starting center this evening will be Rod Sellers, 6'9", 212-pound sophomore out of Florence, South Carolina. We are just minutes away from the ceremony which will honor the 1954-55 UConn team, the first to ever play in the Storage Fieldhouse. But first, let's pause for this 2-minute timeout from our local stations on the Connecticut Radio Network.
You've been a good wife, a loving mother, and a full-time homemaker. Now, through death, divorce, or separation, he's gone. And so is your means of support. You're frantic, frightened, but you're not alone. There are over 11 million women in the United States like you. Here in Connecticut, there's hope because there's help. Displaced homemaker programs throughout the state provide the support and skills you need. Group counseling, job training, and practical workshops can help you cope with the realities of life on your own. Find out more. Call the Displaced Homemaker Center in your area. The Counseling Center of Hartford College for Women, 236-5838. The Meriden YWCA, 235-9297. The Bridgeport YWCA, 334-6154. The Wyndham Area Community Action Program, 779-1850. This message was brought to you by the State Department of Labor, Office of Job Training and Skill Development.
All you need to know, WPOP 1410 News Radio.
Hi,
Hi, this is Dave Windsor.
And I'm Kelly Fitzgerald.
Each weekday morning, beginning at 5 a.m., we bring you the early morning edition of the WPOP News Watch.
Our 4-hour news block is the most comprehensive in Hartford. We bring you the top local news stories of the day, quickly and accurately.
And with the worldwide resources of CBS News, we really have you covered from local to national to international news.
On the early morning edition of the WPOP News Watch, we update your ride to work 8 times each hour to make your ride easier.
We start each hour with the most up-to-date weather conditions, so you'll know what to wear.
And at quarter after and quarter of each hour, Jody Ambrosio updates the world of sports.
So tune in tomorrow morning starting at 5 a.m. for the WPOP News Watch. We can't tell you right now what the top stories will be,
but we can tell you one thing. We'll be here to cover them.
The early morning edition of the WPOP News Watch starting tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Underway on the opposite side of the court, ceremonies honoring a lot of infamous UConn basketball players. In fact, they're honoring several head coaches who have been here in the past at the Fieldhouse, and at this time we'll pick up public address announcer Roger Baker.
Of athletics, Todd Turner. The head basketball coach at Connecticut from 1967 to 1969, Burr Carlson. The head basketball coach at Connecticut from 1969 to 1977, D. Rowe. Head coach of basketball at Connecticut from 1977 to 1986, Dom Vernon. And in his 4th year as the current head coach of Connecticut basketball, Jim Calhoun.
This is Coach Jim Calhoun. You're listening to UConn basketball on Connecticut's only all-news station, WPOP, Hartford.
Here tonight.
On the occasion of the final game in the Fieldhouse, the University of Connecticut and its Division of Athletics are proud to welcome back to the Storrs campus members of the 1954-55 UConn basketball team, the squad which launched the Fieldhouse era on December 1st, 1954, beating arch-rival Rhode Island 116 to 77. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet and greet your 1954-55 University of Connecticut Huskies. A sophomore from New London, Connecticut, number 16, Donnie Burns. A sophomore from Baldwin, Long Island, number 24, Bob Malone. A sophomore from Borough Park, Long Island, number 13, Dick Kiernan. A sophomore from New Haven, Connecticut, number 11, Bobby Osborne. A sophomore from Greenfield, Massachusetts, number 22, Fran Quinn. A junior from Worcester, Massachusetts, number 10, Bob Doobie. A junior from Braintree, Massachusetts, number 19, Gordon Ruddy. A junior from East Orange, New Jersey, number 23, Ron Bushwell. A senior from Brooklyn, New York, number 14, Ernie Braverman. A senior co-captain from Meriden, Connecticut, number 15, Stan Zyma. A senior co-captain from New London, Connecticut, number 25, Art Quimby.
We'll be talking to Art at halftime of today's game.
Team manager in 1954-55, a junior from West Hartford, Connecticut, Ron Badstubner.
This is a good team, too, Wayne. They went 20-5 in that first season here.
The assistant coach in 1954-55 and later director of athletics at Brandeis University, Nick Rodas. And our first lady of Connecticut basketball, wife of our beloved head coach of the 1954-55 team, the late Hugh Greer. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Greer.
We'll try to have her on at halftime tonight, too. Billy's being held on the court by D. Rowe.
54-55 squad with a memento of tonight's final game in the Fieldhouse. Our coaches and players from our current 1989-90 nationally ranked University of Connecticut Huskies.
Billy Greer is 84 years old, and she says that she almost never misses a game here. I mean, up until these days.
And I want to say, I've watched UConn basketball for many years. This is exciting here tonight, looking at this 1954-55 team. Almost to a man, they're all here tonight, looking very dapper, especially the captain, Art Quimby. He will be one of the guys we'll talk to at halftime of our UConn Central Connecticut game tonight. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to UConn Husky basketball on the Connecticut Radio Network.
Update your world every 22 minutes weekday morning starting at 5 a.m. here on Connecticut's all-news station, WPOP, Hartford.
They had a special dinner for that 1954-55 team over at the Alumni House, that new building that's only a year and a half old or so, and they all were there being wined and dined by Todd Turner and by Jim Calhoun as the Huskies get set to play Central Connecticut tonight, and they're all here to watch the final game in the Fieldhouse.
They say that the official sellout attendance number here at the Fieldhouse is 4604. I'll tell you what, Wayne, they may outdo that. I remember back in 1988 when the Huskies were on their run to the NIT championship and they played that game here against Virginia Commonwealth. I think they listed the attendance at around 4,800, and I would have to say that we stand a chance at approaching that kind of a number here this evening.
This portion of UConn basketball is brought to you by SNET. Your business can score more points with their telecommunications services. SNET, we go beyond the call.
Wow, great night for rowing. Hey, watch that oar. Not a bad day at work.
Oh, you better believe it. I've got to straighten out our office phone system quick.
Really? We never have any problems.
Well, how do you manage that?
We don't. We let SNET manage the whole thing.
What are you talking about?
Centrex Service from Southern New England Telephone. SNET runs our phone system using their central office equipment.
What if your phones go down?
Not likely. You see, SNET monitors the system 24 hours a day. The service people stay right on top of things.
With Centrex, your company can have the same advanced telecommunications capabilities as the SNET network itself. To find out about Centrex, call your SNET representative.
Must be expensive, huh?
Well, actually, Centrex saves us money. You see, their automatic route selection option sends our long-distance calls over the most economical lines available.
Sounds good. One more thing.
Now what?
Last one back to the boathouse buys the pizza.
SNET, we go beyond the call.
And welcome back once again, everybody, as we are now just about a minute or so away from the opening tap as the UConn Huskies, ranked number 20 in the nation by the Associated Press, puts a 5-game winning streak on the line here this evening. Of course, the Huskies have compiled that 5-game winning streak in Big East play. First time ever they have won 5 in a row in the Big East, and tonight they are up against a non-league opponent in the Central Connecticut State Blue Devils, and certainly can't fool anybody about this game tonight as far as the matchup is concerned. Central Connecticut, a very decided underdog here on an historic night at the Stores Fieldhouse.
And we talked about the one lineup change for UConn with Lyman DePriest in place of Murray Williams. Murray was home because his father passed away. Also, Scott Burrell is back. He is in uniform, and they say he could get some playing time tonight. So be watching to see how that knee is for number 24, Scott Burrell.
Jumping center will be two brothers, Patrick Sellers for Central Connecticut and Rod Sellers for UConn. Patrick is the older of the two. The toss is up and the tip controlled to the backcourt by the Huskies, and we're underway. UConn moving right to left in this first half. Here's the Doug Hennefeld at the top of the key. A little slip behind for Tate George as the 4,600 plus at the Fieldhouse are on their feet. And they'll remain there until the Huskies score. Hennefeld head of the circle, dribbling to the right, looks for Tate George. Here's Hennefeld faking left, dribbling right, passes for George, frees up at the fake, now shoots, and rolls around and out. The Priest on the rebound, misses off the follow, and Central has the ball, but is taken away at midcourt by George, and he gives for Hennefeld, so the Huskies retain control with Smith hitting a three-pointer. Chris Smith with a three-point field goal, and the Huskies are on the board, and Central seeing UConn pressure in the backcourt. Patrick Sellers gives it off for Al Williams, and a foul in the backcourt. Looks like they got Lyman DePriest on a reach-in of Al Williams, and that's the first foul in the ball game.
Central Connecticut starting off in a zone, saying they're going to try to make UConn shoot over it. But right on the first possession, it was Nadav Hennefeld at the top of the key, doing what he's been doing a lot in the last month or so, penetrating, trying to drive down the right side of the lane, and he dished it off on the right side to Tate George, who made one quick head fake, got a good shot before the ball spun out.
Swan has trouble inbounding for Damian Johnson, and now he gets it free. Johnson trips and loses the ball. Up for grabs. Smith has it, and his up-court pass knocked away by Johnson.
We talked in the pregame show to Mike Brown, saying turnovers are something they've got to hold down. Well, we've played now a minute and 1 second. Central Connecticut already has turned the ball over twice.
Huskies lead 3-0 inbounding at their end with Smith left of the circle, feeding George on top, who takes his dribble from left to right, looking at a Central Connecticut zone. The 2-3 as DePriest has the left corner, down low for Rod Sellers, kicks it out for George, thinks about the three, drives to the paint, the runner up and good, and he was fouled on the play.
Twice early going. Tate George has had the ball outside, has driven after a head fake and gone right to the hoop. This time he puts in the layup. The time before it took about a 10-footer, so Tate able to penetrate very well the first two times he's touched the ball.
Fouls on Patrick Sellers, that's his first, and the team's first. We are just a minute and 17 into the first half, and the Huskies already lead it by a score of 5-0, and George could make it 6-0 if he converts here, and he does not do so. So he doesn't close out the three-point play, and Central Connecticut bringing the ball up court, moving left to right in this first half. Kevin Swan, one half of an all-freshman backcourt for Central, gets it to the forecourt left. First time that Central has had it this far into the forecourt. Entry pass for Johnson, batted away. He regains, drives right of the lane. In trouble, kicks it out for Swan. He'll drive the lane for Johnson. 17-footer up, it is short. Rebound, snaps around, and finally underneath, a foul is called, and this one's going to go against the Huskies.
Well, on that first good offensive possession for Central Connecticut, they really had to work to get a shot off. Johnson put it up, and they've got to get balls that have to fall when they go off the iron. That one went up and almost came back through. Remember, coming up at halftime, we'll have our Connecticut Lottery basketball quiz, giving you a chance to win 5 free Lucky Day instant lottery tickets. And we'll ask you a question about this creaky old building, a building which in the last year has had power failures and leaks in the roof. It's trying to tell us it's time to go next door.
Ahmad Ricketts was the player fouled, and it was a shooting foul, so he is on the line to put up a pair, and he has hit the first. Ricketts, a freshman. They start 3 freshmen, Central Connecticut does. Out of Jersey City, New Jersey, a very lean 6'7", 200 pounds, and the second is up and good. So Central's on the board, 5-2 UConn, 18:15 to go in the first half of play. Here's Smith in the backcourt, draws a trap. This for George at the circle. Now he feeds ahead for Hennefeld, wide open for the shot, which is short. And the rebound tapped into the hands of DePriest, who puts it up and through. Lyman DePriest starting for the first time this season. And he has his first bucket of the night. 7-2 Connecticut. Out of the backcourt, LaRon Campbell just in the ball game for the Blue Devils. Underhand dish to Kevin Swan, the point guard, who's on the deep right wing. Checked by Chris Smith. Huskies in the man-to-man as Swan drives the baseline. Kicks it underneath the Ricketts. Puts it up and misses. The follow was good by Sellers, but they're going to call him for offensive goaltending, and the basket does not count. So the score remains Connecticut 7 and Central 2 with UConn inbounding in the backcourt. 2.5 minutes gone by, first period of play. George, one bouncing Smith up court. Smith driving to the right of the lane, feeds Hennefeld to George. 16-footer is no good. Rebound, tap to DePriest, loses control at the baseline, goes out of bounds, and it's off of Connecticut. And Central Connecticut will regain possession.
Lyman DePriest in that starting role. That time he's the one that lost the ball out of bounds after getting the ball down low, and he had the last UConn basket with the offensive rebound, and he has earned his way to the starting lineup. Even though Murray Williams isn't here tonight, he played extremely well in the absence of Scott Burrell.
Doug Leishner reports into the lineup for Central Connecticut, and he gives it for Al Williams, who spins to the right of the lane in the forecourt, has the ball knocked out of his hands, and a jump ball is called as DePriest and Swan were tangled up, and the alternating possession, UConn or Central Connecticut, will keep it underneath from the baseline. It is LeRon Campbell setting to trigger the play. He's standing left side of his basket. Inside pass to Swan, and the other shot blocked by Smith. Chris Smith with the breakup of that last play, and so UConn, or I should say Central Con, will inbound from the baseline, this time from the right side of the basket. It goes into Swan, who's along the far sideline, tied up by Smith. He goes for Williams, bounces one, shoots over Hennefeld, rattles around and out, rebound taken down by Sellers. He finds George. George dribbling up the left side, looks to the left corner where he finds Chris Smith. Back out for Tate George, dribbles with the left hand, takes toward the circle, gives for Smith, and again for George. Here's Hennefeld, left open, goes down low for DePriest, wheels to the basket, fires on top for George, a head fake, and now a pass to Smith. Down low, Sellers, little banker is good by Sellers from the baseline, making it 9-2 Connecticut. 16:35 to go in the half. LeRon Campbell firing it up at the other end. He misses. Sellers has the rebound slapped out of his hands by his brother, Patrick, and they say it belongs to Central.
Well, we played 3.5 minutes, and Central Connecticut has yet to get a field goal. Their 2 points both came off free throws. Remember, it was Georgetown going until the 13:55 mark before even scoring on Saturday night, so UConn's defense hasn't lost a whole lot from Saturday's effort.
Swan looking inbound, gives it to Hennefeld, who has his first steal of the night, drives up the court and lays it in, and Hennefeld has now tied Bobby Doolin for the single-season record at UConn for most steals. And Hennefeld with a second steal, and a beautiful pass to George, who lays it in. So Hennefeld with the steal in the basket, and then with the steal and the assist, it makes the score Connecticut 13, Central 2, and Mike Brown wants timeout for the Blue Devils. 16-12 to go in the opening half of play. Connecticut leading Central 13-2 as we pause for this message.
Look, here is how most supermarket specials work. When a store lowers one price, they make up for it by keeping their other prices high, or they make you clip a coupon, buy a minimum dollar amount just to get the special. But when Waldbaum's Food Mart have specials, they just lower the price. No coupons to clip, no restrictions, no minimum purchase, no strings attached. And they won't limit you to one to a customer. They just lower the price. Look, you'll like their attitude. It's like yours. Picky, picky, picky. Look, when a store buys merchandise, they buy a certain amount, they pay a fixed price, but every so often they get a great deal. Okay, so where do the savings go? Well, at Waldbaum's Food Mart, they go to you in the form of no coupon specials. They just lower the regular price. They don't make you clip a coupon or spend a certain amount or limit the quantity to get the special. They just lower the price. Look, you'll like their attitude. It's like yours. Picky, picky, picky.
Huskies starting the game red hot, 6 of their first 9, while Central Connecticut has missed their first 4 shots, and the Blue Devils have turned the ball over twice, including their last 2 possessions. The Dove Hennefeld with 2 of those 4 steals, setting up UConn's last 4 points.
Blue Devils looking to inbound. They're dressed in blue uniforms tonight, trimmed in white with blue numerals, and it is a lot of trouble right now for them in the backcourt. They may not beat the 10 seconds, and they don't even come close to beating the 10-second limit as they turn it over for the 5th time tonight.
One of the problems was Lyman DePriest bottling up Al Williams. They had to make a mistake of passing the ball backwards, and they had it inside the UConn lane. So they were still about 90 feet away from the other basket. And once they got that far back on the court, there was no way to get it over midcourt.
NFL inbounds for George at the UConn end. The Huskies working at the basket to our left, dressed in the home white uniforms, trimmed in blue and red. A bounce pass down low for Sellers, who kicks out for Hennefeld. This shot off the mark. DePriest on a good rebound, and he was fouled on that play by Al Williams. Williams went over the top of DePriest, who is starting tonight in place of Murray Williams. Murray Williams tonight at the wake of his father, and of course we extend our condolences to the Williams family.
Lyman DePriest, by my unofficial count, has 3 offensive rebounds early on.
So Murray Williams not with the team tonight. as the Priest, his replacement, shoots from the right side of the lane, and it's way off, and the rebound taken down by Central's LaRon Campbell, who keeps the dribble up court to Swan. He bounces Johnson, drives the baseline, puts up his shot short, goes out of bounds, and Sellers lost the last. That's Rod Sellers, pardon me. And we have to emphasize that as Rod's older brother, Patrick, also in this game tonight for Central Connecticut.
Rod coming off a kind of quiet game offensively against Georgetown, but against the Twin Towers, you sort of expect that.
And we have a timeout called by Kevin Swan, who couldn't get the ball inbounds underneath to one of his teammates, so he calls a timeout with 15:25 remaining first half of play. And we'll take a break with UConn leading Central Connecticut 13-2. Let's pause for this message from our local station on the Connecticut Radio Network.
If you're an advertiser, you should be using radio as your primary medium. WPOP News Radio 14. Listen to someone who knows.
My name is Alvin B. Reiner. I'm president of the Mayflower Laundry and Dry Cleaning Company in Hartford.
How does WPOP figure into your advertising strategy?
Some years ago, we started out by advertising only when the fish were biting. The advertising is a lifelong ambition where you just don't go off the air. We're now, I'd say, on the air almost every week of the year on a steady program. So we just keep putting it out there, and it keeps coming back.
How do you know that advertising on WPOP is working for you?
We hear many comments that we heard your ad on radio. We don't advertise to any degree in any other media.
WPOP can produce results that'll help your business really clean up. Get the facts. Call local sales manager Bob Lang at 666-1411. 666-1411.
We find that it pays us to advertise on WPOP, obviously, or we wouldn't still be doing it.
67th and final game to ever be played at the Storrs Fieldhouse. UConn, since they first played here in 54-55, has posted a record of 281-85. Off the Central inbounds, it is Leishner putting up a shot and drawing a foul. Doug Leishner, a 6'6 sophomore out of Woken, Connecticut. He was fouled by Lyman DePriest, who has two now, and the hand you hear in the background is for the appearance of Scott Burrell. Scott Burrell in the UConn lineup. He hurt his knee on December 30th in a game against St. Joseph's. He had it surgically repaired on January 8th, arthroscopic surgery. He missed 5 straight games, all 5 of them UConn victories, as they went on that tear through the Big East. And here's Scott Burrell back on the floor for the first time since late December.
He had his first really good, hard scrimmage on Monday, and that's when they knew for sure he'd be back in the lineup tonight.
On the line for Central, Doug Leishner has just scored the 3rd and 4th points for Central tonight. 13-4, UConn leads with 15:20 to go in the opening half of play. NFL to the forecourt, a handoff for George along the near sideline. He dribbles with the right hand, little flip for Burrell. He looks things over from far outside and down low, away from the play, a whistle. It's going to be a foul against Central Connecticut.
Looks like LaRon Campbell maybe pushing Tate George away from the basketball. We'll see if that's who they call it against. Nope, they got Damian Johnson. Savage scoreboard, Big East action tonight. St. John's will be here on Saturday night. St. John's is leading Providence 47-45 with 13 minutes to go.
Tate George catches the inbounds pass from the Hennefeld, and he dribbles parallel to the circle. Now takes it to the right wing where he keeps the bounce. Now flips for Smith. Loops it down low for Sellers. Back out for George. Drives the lane. Now kicks it back out for Smith. Three-pointer up and good.
And he was about 2 feet behind the three-point line.
First three-point field goal of the night for Chris Smith. Check that. That's his second. And 16-4, UConn leads. Central Connecticut ball to our right with Leishner putting up a shot from the circle, and he hits it.
First field goal of the night for Central.
And he has Central's last 4 points. 16-6 as Sellers can't handle the pass, but George on the recovery. Gives for Hennefeld, bounces down low Burrell, and he throws it away. Lost control of the ball and gave it up to Swan. Swan with the dribble up court, passes down low Johnson, drives baseline, off-balance shot. He drew the foul, and that was a Central Connecticut break as Damian Johnson had no real chance on that shot, but drew the foul, which was committed by Scott Burrell. So Burrell with a rough couple of minutes as he returns to the floor for the first time since the Connecticut Mutual Classic.
He had good inside
check
position.
That, by the way. Check that. He played against St. John's on January 2nd. Then he was lost to the team.
Well, he had good inside position, and if he just would have gone straight up, I think that they would not have called a foul. But when he reached in, the old principle of verticality. You got the room directly over yourself, but you can't reach in, and that's when he got called for the foul.
Damian Johnson on the line, 6'2", 165-pound freshman out of Queens, New York, and he made both free throws. 16-8. UConn leads now with 14:15 to go in the opening half. Hennefeld for Burrell at midcourt. Underhand dish ahead for George, who dribbles to the wing. Flips behind for Chris Smith on the right. Fires to the left for Hennefeld. He holds high. He's spinning. Gives for Burrell. Drives to the iron. Puts up the runner. No good. Follows his own shot. Misses. Leistner on the rebound. And Central Connecticut looking to make this a 6-point ball game. Here's Damian Johnson spinning with the dribble on George. Fires ahead for Campbell. Campbell protecting the ball. Gives for Leistner in the circle. Dribbles once and throws it away. He was looking toward the near sideline for Johnson, and he threw it over his head. Central now with 6 turnovers in this first half. As John Gwynn now reports in for Connecticut, and he gets a nice end as he replaces Tate George. Gwynn coming off a great effort last Saturday night against Georgetown. Ball knocked out of bounds along the left sideline at the UConn end. Last touch by Central, so the Huskies will inbound from the near sideline with the Dove Hennefeld.
Chris Smith got a break. He lost control of the dribble coming up court, and as it went forward, it went off Kevin Swan out of bounds. Otherwise, it would have been a UConn turnover, their third.
Here's the inbounds from Hennefeld to Smith in the backcourt. Fires to the forecourt again for Hennefeld. Bouncing with the right hand. Looking to Cerulik, who's just in there. Now for Gwynn. Gwynn looks right, passes left on a one bounce for Smith. Cerulik down low, entry pass knocked away. Regains control. Gives for Gwynn. Runner up, no good. Rebound to Burrell, and he puts it up and through. Scott Burrell out of a crowd, puts it up off the glass, and Scott Burrell with his first 2 points since January 2nd. Here in the backcourt being tied up is Patrick Sellers, gives it for Johnson, and there's the second 10-second violation of the evening called against Central Connecticut. They couldn't get the ball over the timeline.
One thing Mike Brown told us before the game, he says we've got to be able to handle their full court pressure. Obviously they've had a problem with that twice before. They've also nearly had the 10-second violation, but just got it over the line. We haven't seen that called too many times all year long by the UConn defense, however, twice early on.
Reno Walker now reporting into the game, replacing Hennefeld. There's Burrell on the alley-oop, can't convert. Walker on the rebound, misses short. Leistner on the rebound.
Great pass from Smith on the alley-oop.
Burrell, who said his legs felt a little rubbery in practice, he thinks it's going to be a little while longer before he's in 100% physical shape. Here's Leistner passing for Campbell, who has a shot blocked by Burrell. Campbell recovers the ball, puts it up and misses. A third attempt is good. So give some points for effort to Laurent Campbell, who took 3 shots and finally made the last one to make it 18-10. UConn leading with Burrell firing for Walker. Good pass, and Walker hit. Sereno Walker with his first basket of the night, and it comes off a pretty feed by Scott Burrell.
Already 7 UConn players have scored.
Central to the other end. They are working to our right, dressed in the road blue uniforms, trimmed in white, with Leistner on top of the circle, dribbling to the right, gives it off, or looking to give it off, and now does so for Patrick Sellers. Looking to drive on Walker, cut off, feeds Leistner, jumper up, and no good. Rebound Walker. Walker outlets it for Chris Smith in the backcourt. Crosses the timeline, takes it up the right side, spins to the circle, and draws the foul.
One man that we were looking forward to talking to in our pregame show tonight is a Central Connecticut graduate named Howie Dickenman. Well, Howie's not here tonight. Howie is in Israel, recruiting someone that the Dove Hennefeld tipped him off to. Howie ought to be coming home tomorrow, so he's probably getting some sweet dreams right now and wondering how his current team, UConn, is doing against his old team. And Howie was a tremendous player at Central Connecticut, too. He was 6'4", but he played at center and was a very impressive player. Had he had maybe another inch or two, he might have been an NBA caliber player.
Huskies lead by 10. George for Burrell in the left corner. Back out for George. 11.5 remaining in the opening half. Here's Burrell, one bouncing Rod Sellers, who has trouble, gives it for George, who dribbles to the paint, puts up the runner, and it is good.
It only took about 4 steps.
Tate George will take the 2 points. And here's Burrell with a knockaway and a steal as he gets it into the hands of Gwynn at half court. Gwynn up the middle. Gives for Burrell. Drives baseline, puts it up short. His tip is up and no good. Tip to the right. Gwynn trying to run it down and makes a nice recovery for Rod Sellers. For George. Back for Gwynn. Fakes the 3. Drives to the lane. Pushes it up too hard. and the rebound back tap to Central. Here comes Damian Johnson to the forecourt. Takes to the top of the key, leaves for LaRon Campbell, drives on Gwynn, pushes it up off the glass and through. 22-12. Huskies lead with 10:35 remaining first period. George sees an opening, drives the lane, has a shot rejected, but into the hands of Walker to Gwynn. Back for George. Three-pointer is rounded out. Rebound knocked out of bounds. Sellers, that's Rod Sellers, knocked it over the baseline, and Central Connecticut gets it back.
A couple of Central subs coming in. One of those is Doug Leishner. Leishner's the guy who ended up catching John Gwynn as Gwynn went out of control to save that ball. He eventually missed the shot after UConn kept possession, but it was a great effort to keep it from going out of bounds.
Central's Patrick Sellers for Leishner. Fakes the shot, drives the basket, and he puts up a pretty shot that falls through off the glass, and Leishner with 6 points and looking impressive early for Central. 22-14. Central doing a pretty nice job of keeping it respectable so far.
And they broke the press and scored off the transition first time.
Scott Burrell, by the way, with I'd say about 4 or 5 minutes, and now he's back on the bench. John Gwynn to George, down low for Sellers, wheels, puts it up, short, rebound to Leishner.
Huskies keeping it close. They missed their last 6 shots.
Huskies have not looked particularly sharp in this ball game.
They've been monsters on the board, but they can't get the follow shots.
Here's Kevin Swan, freshman guard, working on Gwynn, works off a kick to the right, leads for Leishner. Leishner, a wide body, a big guy handling the ball right now, looking to give off, does so for Patrick Sellers, who takes to the paint, kicks it back out for Swan, now to the baseline, back out for Leishner. Looks to hand off and does so for Swan. Has a notion about a three. Now decides to dribble to the top of the key. Gives for Leishner. Holds over the head. With 6 on the shot clock, Swan drives the lane, forces it up, misses, and George has the rebound for the Huskies. Fires ahead for Gwynn. Gwynn pops from 18, and it is around and through as he got a nice bounce off the front side of the iron. And John Gwynn with his first basket. Pressure in the backcourt for UConn. Patrick Sellers double team, gets it ahead for Swan. He finds Campbell. Here's Ricketts all alone, blows an easy shot. NFL on the rebound for George. Fires ahead Gwynn, open court, puts it up, misses. Actually, if somebody caught up with him at the end, and George with the rebound, but he walked. And that's a third turnover against UConn.
When Ricketts blew that layup, he heard footsteps. Tate George is coming over late to defend, and even though Tate didn't get there in time, he did the job because Ricketts just shot the ball too hard off the glass, and UConn got the rebound. Huskies have been running a lot tonight when they've had the opportunity.
John Gwynn comes out of the game. Chris Smith to replace him. Leishner in trouble. Gives it off for Swan. Fires to Ricketts. Ricketts will have to get it to a guard, and he does so for Swan, who has trouble with the dribble. Pushes it ahead for Sellers. His shot no good. Ricketts on a good rebound, and the follow he scores. 24-16, UConn by 8. George fires it for Hennefeld. Three-pointer is around and out. It rattled halfway home and then flew out. And a rebound to Central with LaRon Campbell giving it for Kevin Swan. Swan across the timeline, up the right side, checked by George. Swan standing directly in front of our broadcast table, now takes it to the top of the key, drives the lane. The runner is up and no good, but he drew the foul. Looks like Wayne, Central Connecticut's gotten over those opening minute jitters. They've calmed down a bit, and I think they are saying to themselves, we can play with these guys. They don't think it's going to stay this way throughout the game, but Central has settled down considerably.
They didn't score for the first 5.5 minutes of the game, but, you know, it's only an 8-point game now. They got a chance for 2 points here. Central still is in striking distance. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to UConn Husky basketball on the Connecticut Radio Network.
Kevin Swan, leading scorer for the Central team, has just pushed through his first point. Now he has 2 as he hits both free throws.
They're 8 for 8 from the line.
24-18. It's just a 6-point contest with 7:50 to go in the first half. Here's George to the circle. Passing left for Smith. Three-pointer up and good. And Chris Smith has the range from 3-point territory. He now has 3 long-range shots for 9 points. In the backcourt, UConn pressure, and Ricketts beats it to the forecourt with a pass for Leishner. holds over the head, spinning on Cerulik, goes cross-court to the left for Laurent Campbell, who's running from the baseline is good. Little scoop shot that dropped through, and he now has 6, and it's a 7-point ball game. George fires it up from the circle, and he connects. They make it 29-20. Huskies lead with 7:10 to go in the first period. Swan blows past Cerulik and lays it in. Kevin Swan turned on the afterburners that time to really burn Danny Cerulik, and Jim Calhoun looks like he wants a piece of Dan Cerulik as he heads for the bench as the Huskies have called for a timeout. We have 7:03 to go in this first period of play, and the score, UConn 29, Central Connecticut 22, as we pause for this message from our local stations on the Connecticut Radio Network.
Great performance is on the march at Getty. Getty proudly announces DV2, a major advance in all grades of Getty dual-action detergent gasolines that can make your car perform as never before. Yes, Getty is paying attention. With DV2, Getty's special deep cleaning agent, you get double value. First, DV2 cleans away power-draining fuel system deposits. Second, DV2 helps keep your fuel system clean as you drive. Even after one tankful, you can start to experience smoother starts, more pickup, greater performance. DV2 is so vital, we added it to all Getty gasolines. DV2 helps end power-draining deposits, helps restore full performance, and provides protection against fuel system corrosion. That could mean big savings on repair bills. No matter which grade you use, fill up with Getty dual-action detergent gasoline with DV2, only at your Getty dealer, the value leader in fine gasolines and more.
Varsity basketball team at the Fieldhouse is the fact that an opponent showed up tonight, Wayne Norman, and Central Connecticut is trying to keep it respectable.
And who would have thought that Coach Jim Calhoun would have had to call a timeout to kind of calm the tempo down here. His team is having their way on the shot chart, 13 of 31 for 42%. The Central's coming back. They've made their last 4 shots, 7 of 19.
Here's Chris Smith missing the banker at the UConn end, and Central Connecticut has the ball, and actually heard a few boos in the background here at the Fieldhouse as the Huskies with a pretty rough first half effort so far. Here's Leishner giving it for Damian Johnson, checked by Chris Smith. Johnson circling the perimeter on top, leaves for Leishner, looking down low, still looking. One bounces to the left for Williams, who has the ball poked loose by Burrell. Burrell is going to come away with it. Burrell has it in the forecourt. Leaves for George, who drives the lane and hits. Nice play by Burrell, who came up with the steal and then, in effect, set a pick for George after giving it to Tate, and now a foul at midcourt. Hennefeld picked up the foul.
Who, me?
That was the look on his face. He kind of shrugged his shoulders and picked up the second foul. Check that. They have him for his, yeah, there it is. The second foul and the 6th against Connecticut in this first period.
Tate George and Chris Smith doing a job for the Huskies, the 2 guards, scoring most of UConn's points. Smith with 3 3-pointers and 9 points, and Tate George now has 10. You might have thought that since Central doesn't have too many big guys inside, UConn might be able to get more strength from their power players inside, like Rod Sellers, maybe Dan Cerulik, but so far the guards have done it, and a lot of times the guards have done it from inside, especially Tate George.
For the record, tonight's officials, Bob Madigan, John Cahill, Don Winterton, as Central inbounds and takes to the right, and the shot is missed, but then the follow is up and good by Ricketts. Damian Johnson missed it too hard. He took it from the right side of the basket. It sailed right over the basket, and then the rebound into the hands of the 6'7" freshman Ahmad Ricketts, who just caught the ball and put it up and through.
Scott Burrell gets his second foul in about 6 minutes of playing time. If the free throw can be made here by Ricketts, Central have scored more points in the first half than Southern did in a game that a lot of people are comparing those 2 games against the in-state rivals.
So a 3-point play by Ahmad Ricketts, and we have a 6-point game again, and a steal by Leishner. Gives it for Johnson, and he's fouled by Chris Smith. Central Connecticut all fired up right now. Damian Johnson's on his way to the free throw line, where the Blue Devils have been very, very tough tonight. On the season, they're not a good foul shooting team. They're only 62% from the field as a team on the season, but here tonight they have hit 9 out of 9 free throws. And right now it'll be Damian Johnson looking to keep that streak alive, as he has 2 coming his way after being fouled by Smith, and UConn is over the limit now. Johnson nails the first one. 31-26. UConn led this game 13-2 in the first, with about 4 minutes gone by. They were up 13-2, and now it's a 4-point ball game as Johnson hits both. And Central really feeling its oats. They're going to full court press. DePriest in the backcourt throws it away. It was Patrick Sellers with the steal, but he stepped on the sideline. So UConn will keep the ball. So a very uneven effort so far for the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies.
Even though Cerulik took the wrath of Calhoun when Jim Calhoun called that timeout, an unsung hero in the Georgetown win was Cerulik with those two big perimeter shots in the second half.
Here's Burrell giving it for George as the crowd tries to awaken the slumbering Huskies. Here's DePriest along the baseline. Dribbles to the left corner, kicks it out on top for George, bounces with the right hand, passes to the right for Smith, looking for his fourth three-pointer, no good. And a rebound, a scramble. Smith comes away with it, feeds Burrell, passes left for George, the head fake, back on top of Burrell, his three-pointer way off, rebound Patrick Sellers. Outlets it for Damian Johnson. Huskies quickly back on defense, preventing the fast break as Johnson gives it down low now and takes the pass back and scores. And we have a 2-point ball game. Johnson on the give and go with Patrick Sellers, 31-29. Connecticut leads by 2 with 4:55 to go in the first half. Here's Smith working the perimeter. Gives it for Tate George along the left sideline. George for Burrell on top. Back for George, left of the circle. Holds overhead, looking to give off. He finds Smith, takes to the circle again for George. Down low Cerulik, turns around, fakes, now shoots up a near air ball. Burrell on the rebound. Kicks it back out for Smith. A three-pointer is good.
I can't believe how far out Smith is taking these. The one before, he was maybe 4 feet behind the three-point line. This one about 3 feet out.
And he has 4 on the night. Here's Swan accelerating to the forecourt. Ball knocked away from behind by Burrell. Tell you, one player who is now performing with confidence is the freshman guard out of Hampton, Virginia, Central's Kevin Swan. He is not backing down.
Interesting that UConn, at a time when they're not shooting well, would settle for the three-pointers. That last one worked, but the other two didn't.
Swan inbounds it for Damian Johnson. Johnson with a stutter step dribble, tied up, now gives for Leishner. His pass down low, batted in the air. UConn steal. Hennefeld has it. Hennefeld to the lane, and he has it knocked out of his hands and stolen by Leishner. Up court for Swan. Swan on George, spins to the hoop, puts it up with the left hand, no good, and the rebound, Burrell. Nice. Quick outlet for Hennefeld. Bounces to the forecourt, gives for the trailer Cerulik, who's out of control, but fortunately for Cerulik, he drew the foul.
Huskies with the possession now because of the fine defense at the other end played by Tate George on the transition. He wouldn't let the good shot get off. UConn finally got the rebound. And talk about being out of control. Dan Cerulik was lucky he got fouled on that play by Doug Leishner because he had no chance at all of getting a good shot off. He was in big trouble going down the lane.
Leishner, a sophomore out of Wolcott, Connecticut, has played very well in this first half for Central, but he did just pick up his first foul with Dan Cerulik now on the line for the Huskies. Cerulik eyes the basket, pushes it up, and it's no good.
Huskies are 0 for 2 from the line in the game as opposed to Central, which is 11 for 11.
We're under 4 minutes remaining first half of play, and Connecticut unable to shake free from a very, very pesky Central Connecticut team as Cerulik makes the second. Central with a record of 3-12 on the season. The team starting 3 freshmen. The Huskies, of course, 15-3. They've won 5 in a row in the Big East, ranked number 20 in the nation, but having their problems in this first half. On the inbound, the ball's knocked away, and they say it's going to belong to Connecticut as Chris Smith knocked it off the hands of a Blue Devil defender. So the Huskies keep it after the Cerulik free throw, and George has it top of the key. Here is Smith faking, passing on top for George. He fakes the long shot, drives to the hoop, puts it up, and it's no good. Sellers on the rebound. The follow is good by Rod Sellers.
But again, it was the penetration by Tate George that made it possible. He did a great job driving the lane. He missed the shot, but Sellers there for the offensive rebound.
Here's Ricketts to the forecourt. Almost throws it away at midcourt. Campbell there to recover. 8-point Connecticut lead as Johnson feeds Ricketts on top. He passes to the right for Campbell. Johnson again trying to wheel on Hennefeld. Now puts it up over Hennefeld. No good. Off the rebound. Loose ball foul. And it will be whistled against Ahmad Ricketts. That's the 6th team foul for Central. So they'll inbound. Connecticut will inbound from the backcourt.
Central scored 7 straight to draw within 2 at 31-29 with 5:01. They have not scored since. That Chris Smith three-pointer got the Huskies on this run. They have now scored 6 straight. They lead 37-29.
And we have 3:05 remaining. The Huskies moving right to left with Smith left of the circle, down low for Sellers, takes to the baseline, short jumper, no good. Patrick Sellers, Rod's brother, pulls down the rebound, gives it for Swan. Kevin Swan now for Damian Johnson. Chris Smith eyeballing Johnson as he dribbles with the right hand and stops. Gives for Leishner along the near sideline. Leishner dribbles to the baseline, kicks it back for Ricketts on top. A feed for Leishner, fakes the shot, bounces once to his left, goes down low with the pass is batted away. Leishner regains, and now it's traveling against Leishner. They call it for the steps, and Connecticut will get it back off of the 12th Central Connecticut turnover of this first half.
Interesting watching Scott Burrell play defense, moving the legs pretty well, not showing any physical signs of the operation, but you might have thought he'd be wearing some sort of a knee brace. If you didn't know he'd had the arthroscopic surgery, you wouldn't be aware there's any problem with his knees at all.
Surgery performed on January 8th, and here we are on January 24th, and he is back on the floor. George passing right for Smith into the corner. Hennefeld down low for Sellers. There's that wheeling jump hook off the glass, no good. Off the rebound, a foul, and this one will be a Central foul. Check that, it went out of bounds. No foul on the play. It simply will stay at the UConn end. With Hennefeld inbounding for Tate George, dribbles to the three-point stripe on the wing, passes back for Smith. Smith on top, gives for Hennefeld, looks down low, nothing there, kicks it out for Smith, three-pointer, rattles around, out, rebound, touches a few hands before a whistle. Sellers had his hands on the ball last, and this time it will be a Central Connecticut foul. Check that. We'll get it straight yet. This time it is a UConn foul off the loose ball, and the Huskies are over the limit, so the Blue Devils marching to their end where they will shoot in the 1-and-1, and they are perfect so far from the foul line. They have hit 11 out of 11.
Chris Smith not being shy with those three-pointers tonight. He's already hit 4, and the one he just took, the last UConn possession, that time maybe 2 feet behind the line. So he's way out tonight with those shots.
Patrick Sellers breaks the string by missing the free throw. Up court, here's Rod Sellers taking the pass, and he draws the foul. Tate George with a pretty feed for a cutting Sellers, who was ahead of everybody. And now some words being exchanged underneath the Connecticut basket. They calm things down in a hurry. That last foul, by the way, was called against LaRon Campbell. That's his first. Both teams now over the limit.
And the one before that, the one that put Patrick Sellers at the line, was on Rod Sellers. None of the chatter going on under the hoop this previous possession at all, like what we saw from Alonzo Mourning. And I saw he did it again on Monday night.
Yep.
Somebody's got to shut that guy up.
He got a taste of his own medicine, though, at the end of that ball game. Villanova and Georgetown at the Spectrum, and Chris Walker, the freshman guard, started, as Alonzo Mourning was on the foul line, started yelling at Mourning, was face-to-face with him, trying to give him a taste of that same medicine. Alonzo Mourning quickly picking up a reputation as one of the nasty guys in the Big East. As Sellers hits both free throws, he now has 6 points. That's Rod Sellers of UConn. And the Huskies lead again by 10. Up court come the Blue Devils with Swan firing it up and hitting from inside the lane. That was about a 12-footer by Swan. Here's Smith into the left corner for Burrell as we approach the minute-and-a-half mark. Sellers jump hook in the lane, no good. It was partially blocked. And DePriest on the rebound on the follow, he converts. Lyman DePriest off the offensive boards makes it a 10-point ball game again. 41-31. Connecticut leads. 1:30 to go in the first half. LaRon Campbell's pass up court tipped away, now stolen by Sellers. Up court to Priest, drives and blows the layup, but Sellers on the follow jams it through. And we have a stoppage of play after the Rod Sellers jam for substitutions, with Leishner coming back in for Central Connecticut.
We talked earlier how Sellers hadn't done much offensively. Well, he's now gotten 8 points in the game, including 6 of UConn's last 8 points. A rebound hoop, 2 free throws, and now the rebound dunk. They don't usually allow substitutions after a made basket like that, but the ball went away from the hoop, and they had to stop the clock while they could bring the ball back in play.
Clock reads 1:21 remaining in the first half of action from the Storrs Fieldhouse.
Huskies taking a lot of shots in the first half. I have them now 18 of 47. 47 first half shots. They're on a pace to hit 100 shots, or to take 100 shots.
Here's Campbell with a baseball pass up court, and it is complete. The Swan reverse layup, no good. Rebound to Burrell, who has trouble controlling. In fact, he had it stripped away by Swan, but Swan lost it at the end line. Danny Cerulik showing in that last play that he would not have a safety as a future as a free safety in football, as he was the player beaten on that baseball pass up court.
He was backpedaling down court, trying to leap high and intercept it, but it just was a little bit over his head. He didn't have a chance.
Here's Burrell for George. And now out of the backcourt for Torino Walker, replacing Cerulik. Walker with a dangerous pass for Burrell at midcourt. Now Smith has it. Burrell behind the stripe. Down low. Walker drives the hoop. He scores, and he was fouled. The basket will count, and a Central Connecticut foul on the play. We'll see who they charge it against. But Torino Walker, who has an opportunity tonight to see considerable playing time, on the line to try and complete a three-point play after being fouled by Patrick Sellers, his second.
That was a real nice power move from the right side by Walker. He got that ball, put it down to the floor once, and right back up and put it in. No fooling around.
Torino Walker, we've mentioned this on the broadcast before, strongest player in this UConn team. As Walker puts it up, he misses. Boy, there was a lane violation on that last shot, and they didn't whistle it. A couple of UConn players were in well before Walker put it up. But he missed, and there was no whistle, and we're under a minute to play in the half.
And Central got the rebound. Maybe if UConn had gotten the rebound, they would have thought twice about it.
Central has the ball at their end, trailing now by 14. They actually got it as close as 2 points. And now a steal with Smith taking it up court, drawing the foul. He hit the basket. Now it's just a matter of whether it will count, and it does. Does count?
I thought I saw the official say it went in.
Yes.
No, now they're waving it off.
Okay.
He first said it was good, and then I think they thought twice about it, and they came over and said no hoop.
I saw the indication. At least I thought I saw the indication that the basket was no good. And
well, the foul was out by the right elbow, and Smith eventually laid it in. So I think it was probably a good call not to allow it. And the foul on Damian Johnson, he now has 3. Nope, they just made it 2.
And Chris Smith is on the line. Smith in the 1-and-1 hits the first, and Smith has had a field day from three-point range in this first half. He has 4 3-pointers.
He's also missed a couple also, but he's shooting around 50% from out there.
He has 13 points, and looking for number 14 right here as he pushes it up. And it is good. And so the Huskies lead 47-31. UConn led 31-29 at the 5-minute mark of this half. But since then, as you can tell by the score now, 47-31, Central Connecticut has quieted down. Leishner from the left side, a rainbow, short, rebound. Campbell dumps for Leishner, and he hits the layup. 47-33 was under half a minute to play in the opening half. Here is George across the midcourt stripe, looks to the bench for the play, slowly dribbling with the left hand. 15 seconds to go as the Huskies work for the last shot of this first period. Smith dribbling to the left of the lane as they clear it out, loses control to Johnson. With 6 seconds to go, he throws it out of bounds. He was looking up court for LaRon Campbell and overshot his man. And so 4 seconds now showing, and Connecticut will have one more chance at the final shot.
Phil Andrews of Channel 3 caught that. He's the man that untangled the wire that allowed you to hear that pregame ceremony.
Here's George missing at the buzzer as a three-pointer hit the back of the iron and then fell away. But after a very rough start in this first half, in fact, as we said a couple of moments ago, with only 5 minutes to go in the half, the Huskies led at that point only by 2, but they open it up in the final minutes of this first period. And as we break for the halftime intermission, the Huskies lead Central Connecticut 47-33 as we play the last ball game here at the Storrs Fieldhouse. And a reminder once again that During our halftime break, we will have a interview with both Art Quimby, all-time leading rebounder in UConn history, and also with Billy Greer, the wife of the late Hugh Greer, one of the all-time coaching greats in UConn history. But first, let's pause for these messages.
Hey, sports fans, there's only one thing that's more fun than sitting around with the whole family and listening to a game on the radio, and that's bringing the gang to Friendly's after the game. Win, lose, or tie, Friendly's is a sure bet for post-game excitement. Whether you're up for a hot meal, a cool sundae, or just a snack, Friendly's scores big. Why not try a big beef burger or specialty and delicious friendly fries? Or a scrumptious hot fudge sundae, a delicious sandwich. The choices go on and on and on, as long as your appetite does. So when the game's over, bring the whole team out to celebrate with some great food and ice cream. At Friendly's, we're sports fans' biggest fans. Friendly's, great food and ice cream.
On March 15th and 17th, 1990, the University of Connecticut and the Hartford Civic Center will serve as proud hosts to 8 of the best college basketball teams in the nation as the 52nd NCAA basketball tournament comes to town. UConn and the Civic Center have become synonymous with hosting the NCAA tournament. In the past, collegiate giants such as Georgetown, Indiana, LSU, Georgia Tech, and Ohio State have visited Hartford during March Madness. To receive a ticket application to the 1990 NCAA basketball tournament in Hartford, stop by or call the UConn Athletic Ticket Office at 203-486-2720.
It's here, it's all new, and it was created just for Husky fans like you. It's a 1989-90 Husky Direct Gift Catalog stuffed full of UConn t-shirts, sweatshirts, and memorabilia. This 8-page all-color mail-order catalog features sports merchandise such as authentic UConn basketball warm-ups, golf shirts, and even a replica of the famous gray Equipment Room Cage sweatshirt. All of the items are from the best makers in the business, such as Champion and Atonic Sportswear. Show your UConn colors and call 203-486-5758 today for your own Husky Direct Catalog.
That time at the last game ever played at the UConn Fieldhouse, at least as far as varsity basketball competition is concerned. And UConn, after getting a little scare from Central Connecticut in the first 15 minutes, pulls away with a 16-2 run in the final 5 minutes and 1 second of the first half. And at halftime, they lead at 47-33. UConn led 13-2, but Central came slowly back. The Blue Devils didn't hit a field goal until the 14:40 mark, and then stayed within 10 points, made their free throws, hit their first 11 before missing one, and on a 7-0 run, got within 2 points at 31-29 as Damian Johnson got a hoop from about the baseline. And then UConn scored 8 straight. Swan hit a 10-footer for Central, and the Huskies scored the last 8 points of the half to get that 47-33 halftime score. And UConn took a lot of first-half shots. We have them 19 of 49, which is about 40%, and Central Connecticut 10 of 27. Turnovers are big, too. We have Central already for 15 turnovers, and 2 of those from Hennefeld steals, and the Huskies have 6 turnovers. Chris Smith with 14 points, 4 3-pointers. St. George has 10 points. Rod Sellers has 8. And for Central, their high man is Doug Leishner. He has 8 points. 6 points for LaRon Campbell, Kevin Swan, and Damian Johnson. Our halftime is brought to you by the Connecticut Lottery, reminding you that today could be your lucky day. Let's pause for this 2-minute timeout from our local stations on the Connecticut Radio Network.
Socrates was a great man, one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived. But if Socrates was alive today, what kind of job would he have?
So, you'd like to join our think tank, Mr. Socrates?
Yes. I have enjoyed some success as a professional thinker. Perhaps you've heard of me.
Socrates, that sounds familiar, but what area do you specialize in?
The world of ideas. Ideas that solve impossible problems. Ideas that generate progress. Ideas that inspire people to greatness. And though I have epilepsy...
Epilepsy? Now, wouldn't that interfere with your work?
Oh, no. My ideas weren't always popular, but epilepsy had nothing to do with that. And with medical progress today, most people with epilepsy can do just about any job.
Epilepsy. Find out where we are today. Call the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Hartford, 721-9226. Remember the number, 721-9226.
Dramatic medical breakthroughs in the treatment of eye disease have occurred in the last 10 years. These new techniques can stop potential blindness and, in some cases, restore diminishing vision. This is Dr. Patricia McDonald, Assistant Professor of Ophthalmology at the University of Connecticut Health Center in Farmington. Glaucoma, an increase of fluid pressure inside the eye, damages the optic nerve. Effects of the disease cannot be reversed, but medication and surgical procedures can help stop the condition. Cataract, the clouding of the eye's normally clear lens, is mostly associated with aging, but can be brought on by certain infections and some medications, like cortisone. Surgeons can remove the damaged lens and replace it with a contact lens or plastic implant by using new microsurgical techniques. Any loss of sight, recurring pain, and redness of the eye are warning signs to see an ophthalmologist. Regular eye exams are the key to protecting your eyesight. This is Dr. Patricia McDonald, Assistant Professor of Ophthalmology at the University of Connecticut Health Center in Farmington for News Radio 14.
Honored that first team that played here in the Fieldhouse, 1954 and 55. We'll be talking to Art Quimby, the captain of that team, and also to the wife of Coach Hugh Greer, Billy Greer. First off, Art Quimby, who played from 52 to 55, the career rebounding leader at UConn with 1,1716. He's now the superintendent of Connecticut Vocational Technical Schools. And he, of course, was the co-captain of that team here at the University of Connecticut. One of those people who was honored before the game began tonight. All right, when you look back 36 years ago, what memories do you have of this building?
Remember the first time we came in it, we thought we were in Madison Square Garden. We thought we had arrived in a big time. And it seems like almost yesterday. It really does. All good times.
Were the crowds as noisy then as they become now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was the sixth man. We beat a lot of clubs over time, and I think because of the crowds. There's no question about it.
How often do you come back here now?
I get up maybe once a year, and I watch the games on TV, and I read...
and listen on the radio.
And listen on the radio. Oh, yeah. Any game that's on, I don't miss.
If you look back at a highlight of your career, what would it be?
Oh, I guess beating the Cross when they had the great team in our junior year and playing against some of the great players, Tom Gola, Tommy Heinsohn, people like that. And playing with these guys. I mean, they're just super.
And before you played here, you played next door at the ROTC hangar.
Played in the old cage, right.
Art Quimby played from 1952 to 1955 for Hugh Greer here at the University of Connecticut. Halftime in Stores with the score 47-33 Connecticut. We'll come back and hear from Billy Greer, the wife of the father of UConn basketball, Hugh Greer, after we pause for these messages.
My daddy's so forgetful. Yeah, he forgets a lot. We planned this big surprise for Mom, but the surprise is he forgot. The morning of her birthday comes and nothing had been done. But when we reminded Daddy, boy did he run. He had to get a cake, cause he can't bake. Caterer too, wanted a pizza do. Party supplies, and the flower guy. The SNET Yellow Pages is what you need, that's all. For everything you're looking for, it's where you'll find it all.
The SNET Yellow Pages. For more than 110 years, we've been Connecticut's most complete directory for just about everything you need to live your life.
The party's gonna be just great. We got everything we need. I'll use Yellow Pages all the time as soon as he learns to read. SNET, we go beyond the call.
And those are last night's winning lotto numbers.
Harry, did you play our lotto numbers last night?
Would I miss a giant lotto jackpot? You hear the winning numbers yet?
Yeah, you better sit down.
You mean?
We missed Harry.
Oh.
By one crummy number.
What?
Yeah, well, there's always next time.
Pack your bags.
But Harry...
We're going to Hawaii.
But we only got 5 out of 6.
Everyone wants to win a lotto jackpot worth millions. But did you know you can win thousands by matching only 5 out of the 6 lotto numbers? On average, second-place lotto prizes are almost 3 times bigger than before. Prizes for matching 4 numbers are bigger, too. Of course, nothing can match the thrill of winning a huge lotto jackpot. That's the one you only have to win once.
Harry, did you play our lucky lotto numbers last night?
You hear the winners?
Uh-huh, and you're not going to believe this.
5 again? Yes.
No, Harry. We got all 6.
Connecticut's Lotto. Overall chance of winning is 1 in 39.3. Jackpot paid in 20 annual installments.
Hawaii again?
Okay, but this time, let's not come back.
Both teams shot 39% in the first half, but UConn took 20 more shots. That's why they're on top, 47-33. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to UConn Husky basketball on the Connecticut Radio Network.
Get the latest traffic watch updates 8 times every hour, weekday mornings here on Connecticut's all-news station, WPOP, Hartford.
the wife of the late Hugh Greer, Billy Greer, who's here tonight. This must be an exciting night for you.
Yes, it certainly is. It's a pleasure to see all the old boys that are back again.
Look back to the old days of UConn basketball. What are some of the memories you have of watching the teams coached by your husband?
Well, there were so many good memories, I don't think I can pick out any one, because he started with nothing and took them right up to the top.
How often do you come back here to watch games in stores?
I don't miss very many games. I go to practically all of them. I have to drive up now from Groton Long Point by myself, and if there's not a blizzard, I'm here.
Who are your favorite players, the ones who played for your husband?
That's a hard question to answer because I could name practically every one of them, but I think this team is probably the one I remember the most, of Ronnie Bushwell and Art Quimby and Jim Aher and all of those boys.
Do you have any special memories in that first game here in the Fieldhouse in 1954?
No, I really don't seem to remember anything that happened.
They beat Rhode Island pretty handily.
That's right. I remember that. But it was just a thrill to get into this